Good evening. This is former President Barack Obama, and you're listening to the number one radio show on this network, on this day, and at this time. John Santo's The Radio. Here is John Santo. Thank you, Mr. President. What a show we have for you here today. What a show. Welcome to the radio. Happy Martin Luther King Day. This is the Martin Luther King Day episode. We have absolutely nothing on the subject of Martin Luther King Day on today's episode, other than be nice to each other and hate somebody, not for the color of their skin, but for the color of their jersey. That's what I've always said. If you're at Citi Field and you see a Philly fan, hate that person, but don't hate the person in the Met jersey, regardless of what race they are. That's the way I live. I hate no, I'm kidding. I'm always nice to the other fans at the stadiums because I want them to go back and tell them how nice the Jet fans are, the Giant fans are, or the Met fans are. Those are the only sports I watch. All right, so today is January 20th. 1 year from today, we are going to inaugurate a new president. Maybe. Or the same one. Again, nobody knows. But we're going to talk about that. We have an exclusive interview. Tom Brokaw is going to come on in a few minutes. We have President Trump from Air Force One. But before that, I want to introduce my very special guest co-host. This guy is not a comedian, but he should have been a long time ago. We used to laugh our asses off at the firehouse. I was in the volunteer fire department with this guy. Ladies and gentlemen, your special guest co-host for the week,
Karl McGinn.
Karl McGinn, ladies and gentlemen. Karl, how are you today?
I'm doing good, John. Doing good.
This is such a nice guest co-host appearance, and it's perfectly timed. First of all, I haven't seen you in a very long time, so it's amazing to have you here on the show.
Been a long time.
Been a very long time.
Too long.
Way too long. We're connected on Facebook,
Yep.
but it's not the same as seeing people in person and going on their radio show.
No.
Nothing compares. Nothing compares.
No, nothing.
And you were on the ladder company. I was on the engine company.
Yes.
At the time. But in our fire department, it didn't matter. Whatever was rolling out the door, that's what you got on.
You rode everything.
So I knew a little bit about very little. And I was also an EMT. Were you an EMT also?
I was for a short time.
Yeah,
Well, I was for the length of the card, 5 years.
For that, yeah. I went for the EMT also. You know, originally when I went into the fire department, I just wanted to learn CPR. I went there. I'm like, do you guys have a CPR course? I really want to learn CPR. No. You got to do everything. You know, they pretty soon. Billy Gilmore had me signed up. He's like, sign here. You know, do all this stuff, and that was great. And then I got on the engine, and then I went for the EMT like right after my probationary year because everything was rescue calls.
Yep.
I said, why can't I do both? I could do both.
Yeah.
And
I did it probably the same time frame as you. I probably did it. Like shortly after I got off probation, I got my EMT, but that was short lived.
I did like having the EMT though. It was always nice to know what to do in an emergency.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of did it as like I wanted the knowledge if something happened to somebody that I was with, close to, but I mean, I really joined to be a fireman.
Right? Yeah, me too. Originally CPR. Then I said, all right, I'm on the engine. But, then I did like everything. Then I did the dive team for a little while. I was the EMT on the dive team.
Me too as well, yeah.
That was great. That was like a different thing. But it was funny because the whole EMT course, I could summarize it. It's always immobilized with some kind of splint. The EMT, it sounds hard, but it's really basic. Immobilize, just oxygenate, bandage, transport.
Yeah. It's
Carefully.
almost like if you went to work at Macy's and around Christmas time they sent you to like a special course in wrapping gifts for the season.
Right.
EMT's like you're the best gift wrapper of a damaged individual. That's really all you are. You're not really doing much to just save them. Well, sometimes, but mostly you're like you're packaging them well and getting them where they got to go.
I only was on a crew with one save the whole time, and it happened to be a guy that I was with, a paramedic. And we were helping the gentleman in the ambulance. He was complaining of chest pain, and he coded in the ambulance. And then another paramedic jumped on board. So it was me with two paramedics. So I was just assisting them, but they were doing all the paddles, the drugs. And if it wasn't for them, the guy would have probably, who knows.
Yeah.
But we got him back, and we got him to the hospital alive, and he lived.
That's
awesome.
He
wrote us a nice letter, thank you for saving me. So that was it. Other than that, I was on like another few that didn't turn out so well.
Yeah, well, there was plenty of them that were that way.
Plenty that were that way. So
I had one. It was
nice.
8-day-old baby, and we actually got awarded medals for it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, she was in complete respiratory arrest when we got there, and got her cleaned up and breathing, and it was miraculous. She went from blue to pink, snap of your fingers.
Wow.
Yeah, it was incredible.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, when I had my kids, I kept thinking about all those pediatric, and I'm like, when it's my kid, am I going to even remember all this stuff? I used to keep the book right in their room, the EMT book with a bookmark for all you millennials. A bookmark is something you put into the book to hold the page.
Well, they'd have to read books to even know what the page looks like.
Right, they would have to be like, how come it's not booting up?
They're going to take the piece of paper and hold it up to the monitor on the laptop. This doesn't seem to work. It's not holding the page here.
I saw a thing about millennials about the housing market, and it said millennials that buy on Long Island are not interested in. They want houses that are ready to move in. They're not interested in paying a lot of money for not paying a lot of spending a lot of money on changes to the house. They want it move-in condition in the best neighborhoods with the best schools. And I'm like, where are they going to build this house? Fantasyland?
Well, they got that. Mom and Dad.
That's right. They are really, they are, and I'm not just saying this because they are a weird generation in terms of what they want. And I feel like, when we learned in school, we learned math the right way. I was a pilot major, aeronautics major, so I learned how to read a map, like an old map. And I feel like they're so dependent on technology that they've lost the ability to think without the technology.
Absolutely.
Like my flight instructor used to say, okay, you want to use the automatic, the calculator to make your flight plan? Why not use the slide rule? Slide rule, battery never goes dead. Never, and you can do it with one hand while you're flying the plane. You don't have to make a lot of inputs, and you see everything right in front of you.
They don't learn any of these
Screen
skills.
doesn't crack, right?
No.
And you have your map that if all the electronic stuff goes down, at least you have this. You have your navigation.
So a couple of years ago, my wife and I, my wife's from Jersey, so we're driving back and forth. We stop in Staten Island. I get off to get gas. Well, I get off at an exit where can't figure out how to get back on. So my phone dies, and I have no GPS.
Right.
All right, I don't know the area. I go to the gas station. I went to 3 gas stations, couldn't get a single map. Well, the one guy's like, a map? Yeah, map. Paper, tells you where you're going?
No maps, yeah.
No maps. Well, what do you do now? Hey, where do you get a map from? You got to order on the internet.
For years, I used to keep them, when I went on long trips, I used to keep them in the car.
So in the collision business, where you get a junk car going there, and people claim all their stuff, and they take what they want, and then the car's going out. So whenever I'd see an old map, I'd snatch it up, stick it in my toolbox, and then throw it in my car. So I'd have a paper map.
You know what I like about a big map? Like if you're planning a trip, you could see the entire picture.
Yes.
In one thing. Like the GPS to me is the more tactical turn by turn.
Right.
You got to get off the next exit. You got to go 1.3 miles. You're going to make a left on another whatever. I want to know strategically. I'm going to Pennsylvania, right?
Yep.
So I got to go west. So if the GPS tells me to go east, red flag.
Yep.
So I was at Montauk Point. I don't want to say anybody's name. It was another comic. We did a show out of Montauk.
Okay.
And we went to the lighthouse afterwards, right? Me and another couple of people from the show, the comic and another couple of people. And he's like, dude, I got to go back to Manhattan now. How do I get out of here? Because he couldn't get a GPS. The GPS out there sucks.
Yeah.
Right? I'm like, there's only one way out of here. You're either going to go off the cliff into the water and float to Block Island, which is way the hell out there, the lighthouse over there, or you're going to go west. There's only one road out of here.
Yeah.
Oh, but how am I going to find Manhattan? Stay on Sunrise Highway.
Yeah.
Just go west. You'll acquire a GPS signal way before East Hampton,
long before
guaranteed.
you get, yeah, absolutely.
But he couldn't get in the car and go without a complete picture of where he was going. And I'm like, you could navigate point to point too. You could navigate to East Hampton and then keep going from there.
Yeah.
There's only one road out of there.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, just stay. I mean, his car's got to have a compass. It's got to have an electronic compass. Got to tell you whether you're going east or west. Got to have something. It can't be that hard.
I finally got a car that has that.
I'm sure you've had a car with that for a while.
No, not that long.
Really?
Only a couple. I only got satellite radio in 2015 when I got my Kia.
Get out of here.
Swear. When I had not bought a car in 2015 when my wife and I leased a Kia Sedona. I had not bought a new car since 1999 when I got that Altima.
Oh, okay.
That I used to drive to the Firehouse.
Yeah.
I hadn't bought a new car in 16 years. So I said, he was showing us like, they always show you the loaded one.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, we're gonna get the basic one. I said, is the backup camera on the basic too? He goes, sir, when was the last time you bought a car? I said, 1999. He said, every model of everything, even the lowest model of the lowest car that we sell has a backup camera.
Yeah.
It became, I don't know if it's
a law, yeah.
It is a law.
Yeah.
So I have like 3 levels of technology in our cars. I have one that has nothing. I don't even have satellite radio in that car. It's an 06 Accord. I have nothing in there. But I got a great spot in front of McKay's with that car last week. I took a picture. I put it on Facebook. I was right under
saw
the
that
McKay's
picture.
sign. I'm like, oh my God, this is the best spot. This is the greatest spot ever. I wish I was playing there tonight because as soon as I was done, I could have got right in the car and driven away.
I saw that. I was laughing.
So somebody asked me if it was okay to park there. And I said, this is my effing town, and don't you forget it. Like, that was in Roadhouse.
Yep.
With Patrick Swayze. Anyway,
I love that. Sam Elliott, my favorite.
Sam
actor.
Elliott, what
Yeah.
a picture.
Yeah,
They've been
absolutely.
replaying it because I think it's the anniversary of it.
Yeah.
A lot of big anniversary
Such a
movies
shame that
this year.
guy died.
So sad.
Talented guy. It's funny. I just watched Red Dawn the other day.
The original Red Dawn.
The original.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not the remake.
No, the
bullshit.
real Red Dawn.
The real Red Dawn.
I think I'd say less than 5% of remakes are worth even looking at.
I did see the remake. Just I had to see what it was. It was horrible.
I haven't seen that one. Like I've seen other remakes that I wouldn't complain about, but Red Dawn. I'm not even interested. In
Red
watching
Dawn
anything
was
else.
amazing. He's a lot older than us than I
Yeah.
thought.
Yeah.
Patrick Swayze.
Yeah, I was reading a thing the other day. They were saying that when they cast him for that, he was like way older than he should have been for the character that he was playing. But
That's
they
why I was
pulled it off.
surprised. Yeah, they pulled it off.
Yeah.
But the whole premise of that movie, like I think about it because I spent some years in the defense industry, and I was like analyzing. I would ask people, the premise is so ridiculous that. First of all, we would definitely have sent a nuclear retaliatory package.
Oh, yeah,
towards the
absolutely.
Russians. We would have nuked Cuba. We had the submarines.
Yeah.
That last line of defense.
Yeah.
If the land-based missiles get caught, and then they were like, "This is like when you're a kid, you think this is a great movie." He's like, "Yeah, the special forces are thinking about sending you in some help when the spring comes. Special forces has to wait until the weather
Till the
gets
spring.
better, but these untrained kids are out in the woods fighting in the hardcore Russian regulars
And the Cubans, right? It was the Cubans
Yeah, the
also. The Cubans and the Russians, yeah.
in the winter.
In the winter.
But special forces that's trained to fight in any condition. They have to wait until the spring, Jed. You have to hold out until the spring.
And who are they helping? They're helping Jennifer Grey.
right.
And what's the other one? Leah Thompson.
Leah Thompson.
Oh my God.
Unbelievable. And they have tanks and everything else, but the special forces, they
Yeah.
have to wait till spring. It's so ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I did like the part with the colonel that when he gets shot down, he was fighting the MiGs and
Yeah,
he
yeah,
goes,
yeah.
"How'd you get yourself shot down?" He goes, "It was 5-1. I got 4."
Yeah.
And they showed like the ejection seat. And
Who
he's
was
like
that? That was Powers,
Powers Booth.
Yep. Another good actor.
He was in another good movie with Rebecca De Mornay. It was an HBO movie. A lot of big names in it. It was called By Dawn's Early Light.
I don't think I ever saw it.
Great picture. He's a B-52 commander and she's a B-52 co-pilot, so they're part of this crew. So what happens is who's the guy who's the president? James Earl Jones is in it.
Oh, okay.
But who's the president? That guy with the white hair. I know I just described like half the actors. I'll think of his name in a little bit. But it was like an HBO movie, and the president is wondering what's happening. So they tell him that a nuke was launched from Turkey into Russia.
Okay.
But it wasn't us. It was the Russians hitting themselves because they were upset that we were getting along with them. The peace negotiations were going
Right,
so
right.
well. They wanted to start up. So the Russians automatically responded with a limited nuclear strike against select targets.
Okay.
So the Russian premier says, "Mr. President, we know what happened. You have 3 options. 1, respond with a similar strike and we'll accept the damage and stop. 2, escalate to a more regular response, or 3, a full nuclear response." So it was like 3 levels of, or accept the damage and do no response.
Okay.
Second one was a similar response. So you had like those 3 options, or total commitment.
Yeah, that
It was
wouldn't do it.
fascinating. And this B-52 crew, they get the orders to go on the grand tour. So then they think the president's dead because his helicopter goes down. So the Secretary of Agriculture becomes president. Oh, no, the Interior.
Okay.
He was like in a remote place. And Rip Torn is in it. Like a lot of big names are in it.
Another good guy. Yeah.
Yeah, you should watch it. It's a
I
very
will. I
interesting
definitely will
premise.
watch it.
And it was all based on real scenarios. Like I saw like Air Force training films about like a limited nuclear strike on the U.S.
Also, use some legit information in the movie.
Yeah. It was all based on factual stuff. And as I talk to people, like I met a guy who was a submarine executive officer, and I said, all right, I got to ask you, Crimson Tide. He goes, they should have fired. They should have fired. He goes, beyond no doubt, no discussion, no 99% sure, 100% sure they should have fired. And Denzel Washington should have repeated because the whole premise was that they had to strike those weapons before the rebels could launch at us.
Right.
So there was no time for discussion. The orders now, unfortunately, the order was to change the launch order.
Right.
But he goes, absent of that confirmation, they should have launched.
Yeah.
So he's like, no doubt. I was like, oh, that's nice.
I love those movies. You don't see movies like that anymore.
That's a great movie.
Yeah. Awesome movie.
I love that movie. So we actually, speaking of those kinds of topics, we actually have, we're going to go to Tom Brokaw, who we have the president on Air Force One going to Davos. You familiar with the Davos World Economic Forum in Switzerland?
Yes.
I found out how much it costs to get in.
That's the isn't that the international boat show or yacht show?
Yeah. There's so many rich people there. They have everything. It's $40,000 just to walk in.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's some kind of big bullshit powwow thing. So let's get. President Trump will tell us more about it. He knows a lot more about it than I do. And all right, Tom, are you standing by at NBC? We have an NBC News affiliate, Tom Brokaw.
That's awesome.
Good evening, John and Karl. Yes, this is Tom Brokaw. And hello, Karl. It's nice to have you on the radio.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for being here.
Oh, it's our pleasure. How do you like it so far? You've been doing radio for 15 minutes.
Yeah, it's the best 15 minutes I've ever had. Don't tell my wife.
Well, that's great. No, the media is a fascinating place. Anyway, we're going to go live to the president on Air Force One. Mr. President, welcome to John Santo's The Radio.
Thank you so much, Tom. It's so great to be on the radio. I'm on Air Force One. We're going to Davos. And let me tell you something. A lot of stupid people are going to be at Davos. A lot of dumb people. It's a climate change powwow. They're going to talk about climate change, which is a terrible thing. But they're flying 2,000 private jets, okay? 2,000 private jets into Davos with one or two people, okay, into Davos to talk about climate change. I mean, come on, that's pretty stupid. They're going to release 18,000 metric tons of CO2. That's a lot of CO2, believe me. I build a lot of things, and I can't even build that much CO2. A lot of CO2. And they're going to talk about global warming.
Well, Mr. President, in all fairness, you're on Air Force One.
That's different, Tom. Air Force One is a military plane. I need to do that to launch, weapons and stuff. That's not a private plane. It's a private plane, but I got the media. I have a lot of people on board Air Force One. But it's not like two people. Not like one people, two people.
Well, thank you so much for that, Mr. President. Are you going to see Greta Thunberg?
Shouldn't she be in school? I mean, isn't it the school year? We're having a 16-year-old kid coming into to Davos. Who let her into the UN? I don't know who let her in. She should be in school.
Karl, do you have any questions for President Trump? Could be anything.
Who's your favorite Met?
I would have to say my favorite Met has got to be. That's a good question. Let's see. Who gave me the most campaign funds? Trying to think. No, I'm kidding. Just kidding. I would have to say the best Met. Carlos Beltran is the greatest manager the Mets have ever had. I think he's terrific. I think he's unbelievable. Unfortunately, he got caught in the cheating thing. I think he would have been terrific. But I would have picked Gary Busey to manage the Mets because let me tell you something about Gary Busey. Gary Busey, and you saw Point Break, Gary Busey,
Oh, yeah.
Point Break. He was the only FBI agent that knew that the ex-presidents were all surfers. He was the only one that knew they were surfers, and everybody gave him a hard time. That guy who's the head of the FBI that's in like every movie, he was in Wall Street, terrific at Wall Street. John C., whatever his name is. McKinley. Terrific actor, but wrong. Very wrong. And I thought that Gary Busey, he was my head to pick. I was going to pick over Comey. When I fired Comey, I was going to put Gary Busey as the head of the FBI because Gary Busey, he knows the FBI really well. Like I said, he caught the ex presidents with surfers, and that was brilliant. He knew the carnauba wax. He knew all that stuff about the wax with the surfboards and all that. That was terrific. Surfers, and he knew by the patterns. He analyzed the data. They were never there certain times. Surfers stick to certain breaks. Can I answer anything else? Any other questions before we got to go? I think we have. Do we have a nuclear practice? I have to practice launching nuclear weapons. By the way, Nancy Pelosi can't say anything. I'm allowed to do whatever I want with the military. We should ask Mr. President. It's John Santo. Isn't the impeachment trial tomorrow, and you're off to Switzerland? Who cares about I don't care about the impeachment trial. I got to go to Switzerland. We booked this a long time ago. You lose your deposit if you don't go. That's true. When you travel, you lose if you prepay, Mr. President, that could get expensive.
Yeah, that would be terrible.
Oh, we prepaid. We prepaid the admission. We prepaid the hotel. We had people, the airfare and all that stuff. It's a lot of money. Believe me. See, the travel business, Karl, very tough.
Yeah.
Mr. President, are you limited to the baggage you can bring on Air Force One? I mean, is there any? Yes, your carry-on is restricted, and you can only bring one personal item. That's it. See, even on Air Force One, they have carry-on restrictions.
What's the bag weight limit?
Mr. President, Karl asked what the bag weight limit was. The same as any carry-on, 40 pounds, but check baggage, 50.
Okay.
Otherwise, you get charged extra. We charge. So if you check a bag, if you're a guest on Air Force One and your bag weighs over 50 pounds, the overcharge is $5 million. I mean, Air Force One is pretty expensive.
Yeah, you're not kidding.
So they really want you to keep the weight under the 50 pounds.
So we could probably get out of the deficit if people brought extra bags.
Extra bags.
Oh, okay.
You know what I do before, Mr. President? We're going to let you go. Thank you so much, guys. Have a terrific show. I'll see you guys when I get back. Isn't it great? We could just call these people up, Karl.
I know. This is new for me. This is fantastic.
I love this. This is like so. Bobby has all these connections. Our producer, he's terrific. This is a great network. I've loved being here because of all this.
Yeah, you're not
all
kidding.
these connections we have. But I have a luggage scale because I've been avoiding those charges. I go to Andy's Luggage at Wanto. He's got the luggage scale right there. Greg's terrific.
Been around forever.
Forever. I get all my luggage there. He's got a scale that they sell. They have them digital now. I still have I have one digital. I keep one in each bag.
Is it the one that it hangs from, or is you actually put
It's
it
like
down on?
It's like a fish. Yeah. You put the handle on the little clip, and then you just pick it up. You just pick it up like 2 inches off the ground, and it gives you weight. And if you're like 45, 46, 47, I think you're okay.
So have you ever gone there and had them say that it was over?
No, I always weigh. I always weigh ahead.
Break your scale out from them. Go.
That's why I keep it in the bag. Because if they're bullshit,
So what happens if the scale is what causes the weight difference? The scale being in the bag puts it over their limit.
You just blew my mind. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put that in my carry-on bag now.
Okay, yeah, that's a good idea. They can't get you there then.
They can't get you there.
Yeah.
I mean, technically, they can. They never really weigh the carry-on.
Well,
bag,
maybe it's a good safety because then if it's over and you take it out, then you're guaranteed to be there. Then you could put it in the carry-on bag.
Yes, then I'll put it in the carry-on. I've seen people having to take stuff out of the bag and put it, do something with it.
Yeah.
Because they're over the weight. Because they charge you a lot of money now if you're over the weight.
I haven't flown in quite a while.
I haven't flown in a while either, but I usually fly private. Ironically, I fly private. But they don't weigh the bag. They don't care. I mean, the only time they care is because where they're going to put it, because of the weight and balance of the plane. But they don't. There's obviously no charge. I mean, I'm paying $5,000 an hour to fly.
Yeah.
They better not charge. But so I always worry about that scale being a little more precise than mine. But it's been close. I mean, I've weighed it right there, right before I give it to them, and it's within a pound.
Yeah.
A half pound or whatever.
So I had this conversation today. Going back years ago, I worked for Harley Davidson for a bunch of years, and I went to San Diego for the dealer meeting, and I had the privilege of having dinner with some very, very wealthy, very well-established Harley Davidson dealer owners. And I sat there, and being a regular everyday Joe, listened to this conversation about this one gentleman who was having his G6 built, and it wasn't done yet, and he couldn't fly from Florida to his home in Denver nonstop. So he had 2 G4s 2 sets of pilots. The first plane would go ahead, land, fuel. The second plane would land. He'd walk over and get on the second plane.
You're
and fly.
kidding.
I swear.
He wouldn't even wait for the refueling. He just wanted to keep going.
Nope, just wanted to keep going.
Damn.
Yeah. That's why he was getting the G6, because the G6 would make it. That's
G6
a true
would go
story.
direct, yeah.
And then, like, of course, I feel like a squib sitting there, listening to this conversation. Then the next thing they're arguing about is I guess this is what happens with millionaires. They talk and they argue these things. The other gentleman, South Carolina, wealthy auto industry and Harley Davidson dealer owner, and he's talking about how he had 3 helicopters at one time, and he only has one for posterity to say he can still have a helicopter. And his biggest frustration was that they'd be flying in the helicopter and he'd want to land somewhere, and the pilot would be like, "Well, we can't land there." And he'd be all angry. We're like, "Why not? I got a helicopter. You can land it anywhere, but technically, legally, we can't land it there."
Right.
So he got...
With helicopters, I know from my time at Aviation Week, it's usually a local ordinance.
Yes.
With the helicopter, not federal.
Okay.
So federal, the FAA, they as long as you comply with all their safety regulations of certain distance, certain whatever it is,
You can put it wherever you want.
you can put it wherever you want. It's always some local crap.
Yeah.
But if it's private property, I don't even know if there's a restriction there. It's a very fine law thing with the helicopters.
But then the other conversation was he's talking about the G6, and they're going through the build process, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, they called me the other day and tell me that they have to put a seatbelt on the toilet."
yeah.
So he's like, he's like $30,000. He's like, what
Yeah.
happened to the days when you go to like One Stop Auto in Monto and you buy a set of seatbelts and you bolt it to the floor? Like, remember when we were kids growing up, you'd get a 50s car that had no seatbelts and you had to retrofit it so you wouldn't get in trouble.
Everything aviation is expensive and it has to be certified and it has to be whatever. You could probably, so I used to fly a Cessna 172.
Okay.
And I was taking off Federal Republic once, and basically when you shut the door on that, I don't know if it's still the case, but on that model, it was 1978. You close the door, and there was like a handle right up against the armrest, and you push the handle down, and now it was flush with the armrest. That would lock it into place. I was
Okay.
taking off one time, and I guess with the vibration, all of a sudden I see the handle creeping up, and the door pops open. Now it doesn't open all the way.
Right.
It just unlocks and it goes psh, like a little bit, like an inch, and you go shh. So now I could hear like the air coming through, and I have to push it open to slam it shut again. Now, I could probably go to a lot of hardware stores and probably get a better one,
Right.
right? A better locking mechanism. But I can't put it on an airplane unless it's certified and has to go through the vibration testing and all the other stuff to make it certified. That's the way it is. I was touching a refurbished pilot seat for any, like 737, any kind of commercial airplane.
Okay.
And I was talking to the this is at a trade show for maintenance equipment, and I asked the guy, "How much is it?" I'm just curious, how much does a seat cost? He goes, "How much do you think this costs to refurbish it?" I said, "I don't know, a couple of $1,000, $5,000,
Probably more than that.
$75,000."
Wow.
That was in '02.
Man, I'm in the wrong business.
And he goes, "You're touching a Porsche right now," and I said, "Holy cow!" And I said, "Well, how much is? Well, if it costs $75,000 to refurb, how much is a new one?" He said 150 to 200, whatever. So I was like, wow. And he said the Air Force used to just buy, if their planes, the seats had to be replaced, they would just buy new ones because for operational reasons they had to have them right away. He said now, he goes, we're their supplier. So if they need to refurb a seat, we give them another seat as a loaner. We refurb theirs, then we trade them back out. Or if it's the same seat and they're happy with the performance, they just leave it in. So we just rotate them. So it's like almost like your propane tank.
Right.
Same thing.
$75,000 propane tank.
Except they're doing it for 75. That was in '02. I have no idea what those cost
Yeah,
now.
God
That was
only knows.
18 years ago.
Yeah.
I have no clue what those are now. Today, I have no clue.
Probably a lot of money, believe me.
Mr. President, are you still there?
I'm just listening. I love the show. It's a great show.
I thought he hung up.
Yeah, so did I.
Damn, he's still there. So this bail reform thing.
Oh, boy.
What the hell? What idiots? We don't usually get political on the show, but this is not political. This is diabolical.
It's political suicide, I think.
I
don't
think
know.
all the people on Long Island and the state senate that voted for this, I see the outrage on Facebook. There's groups about it now. I'm seeing 18,000 member groups about this stuff. I'm seeing all kinds of stuff.
I saw one yesterday, 150,000 strong.
150,000. That's going to that's going to really, and they're getting, I read in Newsday, they're getting phone calls. These roughly 15 senators are getting a lot of negative feedback from their constituents.
Inundated with everything.
Right, but
emails, phone calls, and
they're getting inundated. They can't even keep up with this
Yeah.
stuff because they're like, what idiots passed this thing?
yeah, it's insane. I mean, you already have people who have died as a direct
Yep.
result of this new bail reform.
Yep. And there's people that are getting out. They commit a crime and they're out. And this is the part that really bothers me. If they commit a crime, they're entitled, and they rob you in your house, they break in your house, they're entitled to go back and take pictures.
That's another thing that.
Where's the
bothers me.
Fourth Amendment there about your?
Yeah.
That's got to go right through the courts. That's got to go right up to the Supreme Court. That's a Fourth Amendment violation.
Yep. I mean, you never assume that you know the law because of thinking of something in common sense. You actually have to read it to understand it, and even then, it's hard to understand it. But like a lot of times, and I learned this with stuff going through with my wife, with divorce, from her past. Sometimes what you think would be like plain and common
Right.
sense, that's not how it is in the law.
Well, especially New York. New York is a
funny place.
funny place.
Funny state. Yeah.
Whether you and I'm talking about multiple industries. I talk to first of all, the thing that bothers me the most, the state Supreme Court is not the highest court. Everywhere, every other state in the union and the federal court, the Supreme Court is the Supreme Court, the highest court, the Supreme Court. In New York, it's the regular court. The Court of Appeals is the highest court. That to me right there tells you should live here.
You know what? I didn't even realize that. That is something I did not know.
Well, I found out with jury duty.
Okay.
When I went for jury duty, I had no idea either. Who the hell knows that, right? So I go into court and I'm like, what am I doing here? Supreme Court. Isn't the Supreme Court in Albany? They're like, no, the Supreme Court, you're the Supreme Court. I'm like, I'm the Supreme Court. Great, it's a lifetime appointment. I get $200,000 and I don't have to do anything. The calendar goes from September to June, and then the day is 10 to 4. I did it. I'm out of corporate America.
Yeah, you can only wish for something like that.
So apparently that's the Supreme. When you go to Mineola, to that court, that's the Supreme Court. I happened to ask, and my father was an attorney, and he told me, yeah, it's a messed up. So right there tells you New York is screwed up right off the bat.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's a shame because we have the best food.
It is, but they sell it as like bail reform. So they take all the people that are really fighting for what needs to be changed in bail reform. It ends up a budget item. I don't know how that worked out.
Right, yeah, me neither.
And then they made such a broad brushstroke, and I think the bottom line behind it all is to save money for the state because the state's floundering.
Right, and they also took away any discretion from the judge.
Yeah.
Now, if the guy is committed a couple of homicides, don't let him out.
And then, I keep reading, it's supposed to be for nonviolent crimes, but there's this guy upstate shot his girlfriend in the head, killed her, and he's out on bail.
When I'm president of the United States, I'm going to totally change the law enforcement system. Did you ever see the movie Judge Dredd?
Yes,
That's what we're going to have.
that would be awesome.
I'm going to have a special police force that when you have people that don't give a shit about law and order, they go in and they're judge, jury, executioner. First of all, if you commit more than 10 crimes, I don't care what they are, you should be executed.
Yeah.
We have to broaden the death penalty to include lesser crimes that are more frequent.
Yeah,
I'm a big believer in that. So a guy robs 16 times, no, get rid of him.
Yeah.
I'm not paying for the incarceration. Execution saves money, stops crime. Very effective.
Yeah. They can't figure it out. Got to get rid of them.
That guy robbed. Did you see
Hey,
the
wait
guy
a second. In
with the
this
gun?
state, it should be okay because, you can abort somebody till the end, right? They could just about come out walking and
Yeah, that's a topic that I had to stay away from.
we don't
The
talk about
sponsors,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a lot of sponsors. That issue is a hot button issue, and I can never seem to. Yeah, we get away from that.
Yeah, we're
issue,
past that.
Past that one. But there is we have a lot of friends, mutual friends in law enforcement. I have a lot of friends and family in law enforcement. I know we know a lot of the same people,
Yeah.
retired cops. They're all against this. Everybody's against this. Even ICE came into New York, they were saying, why are you releasing these people?
Yeah.
That's another whole issue.
Absolutely.
To me, that's obstruction of justice. If you don't provide the federal law enforcement with what they need, then that should be obstruction of justice. I'm hardcore on this issue.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah, this issue I'm not. Other issues I'm more open. Not this one. This one I'm very. That's it.
It's a shame, and not even to pick a party side.
No, I know Democrats that are
Giuliani
against
cleaned
this.
up New York City, turned it into like a spectacular place, a flourishing financial
Bloomberg
juggernaut.
kept it going.
Bloomberg kept it going. He understood the fundamentals of keeping the city nice is how it allows it to make money. It's filthy now. It's sad. It's heartbreaking to go in there.
You look at San Francisco, you look at all these places. I was actually supposed to speak at a Tableau conference in San Francisco. I loved San Francisco. I went there in 2003, 6, and 7 for personal or business. I love that city. Beautiful city. I won't go back.
No.
A friend of mine, her car got broken into. They said, the car rental company says this happens like a couple of times a day. There's drugs, hypodermic needles all over the place. They're crapping in the streets. There were people. I stayed in Embarcadero, which was a really nice area. I took the BART right from the airport right to the my hotel was like a block away from the beautiful transportation system. People come out of that hotel and they're like, "Are we in the bad part of town?" I stayed in that same area, that same hotel. There was a Hyatt, beautiful hotel. They said, "Oh yeah, this is." So even the mayor said we're the most beautiful city that nobody wants to come back to.
Yeah,
because it's just horrible.
Well, last summer I went in. My cousin was having a CD release party, and it was in a place called the Bowery Electric on Bowery Avenue. You know, not a bad area. And we're walking down the street, and there's a guy fully exposed, urinating in the street. You know, and just like not thinking anything of it. You're just like right there on the sidewalk. I'm like, I have a 6-year-old. What would I do if I'm walking through the city with that going on?
Right.
You know?
And it's a shame because it's beautiful. Well, I don't know how it's gonna see now. I turned down a trip there to go to a convention there. When you start to lose convention business, and the tourism business and the hotel occupancy falls, and that's where you make a lot of your tax revenue because when you get a hotel bill, the taxes are incredible.
Yeah.
On that bill. When I went to Dallas, it was a $10 charge for the Cowboys Stadium on there. I'm like, I'm a Giant fan. The hell am I paying for the Cowboys Stadium for? I don't give a shit about the Cowboys Stadium. Let them play at a high school for all I care.
Absolutely.
The hell am I paying for them for? So, that's where you...
But they got the cheerleaders.
That's true. That's true.
And in the Cowboys' defense, not that I'm a Cowboys fan by any far stretch of the imagination, Jerry Jones stands up for the flag.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So
that whole thing.
We have to give them those little kudos. Cheerleaders and respect for the flag. The rest of it,
Absolutely. When I do the show, so I'm going to be at your firehouse on February 8th, Huntington Manor Fire Department Comedy Night.
Looking forward to it.
Is there a way that people can get tickets if they want to come to that show? Or is it already sold out? Or
I don't think it's sold out. They can go on the Huntington Manor Fire Department Facebook page and get the info to contact them.
Perfect.
And it's Captain Scott Clunan is in charge of ticket sales, and they could reach out to him.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's going to be an amazing show.
It is.
That
It's
room
fantastic.
is great.
We cook, so the meal is it's a really good meal. It's a really, really
That's
really
all I
good
needed
meal.
to hear.
And
I'll be there.
beer and wine and a good time.
And you got a great headliner for that show. Paul Bond is absolutely amazing. We're going to get Paul. Paul's been on my other on the TV show I do, Laughter Saves Lives, but I got to get him on this show hopefully real soon. Paul's an amazing guy. You're going to love Paul.
Yeah.
Paul is like he'll do like probably an hour. He's incredible.
It's a whole new setup for us this year as far as comedians go. I'm looking forward to. Of course, we got you. I've been trying to get you in there for the last 2 years.
Thankfully, we could do it. I couldn't do it last year for whatever reason. The year before, I was already booked.
Yeah.
But now that's it. Boom.
That's it.
I got one thing to do on February 8th.
It's gonna be a good time. I'm looking forward to it.
Wake up, eat breakfast, eat lunch, drive to Huntington Manor Fire Department for the show. That's all I have to do on Saturday, February 8th. And then whatever my wife tells me in between.
That's it. Santo and McGinn back in the firehouse.
Back in the firehouse. That's a nice firehouse. That's the Taj Mahal.
Yeah, that's right. You remember that?
I remember we used to call that the Taj Mahal.
Yep.
Is it still the biggest firehouse on Long Island, or is there anybody bigger?
No, I think Riverheads is bigger. There's a couple of them that are like, when you drive up to them, you're like, this is crazy how big they are.
You know what's cool? I've done more firehouses as a comic than I have as a firefighter. So I've been to all the firehouses. I remember we used to call Belmore's firehouse the Parthenon.
Yes.
And now that's a palace.
Yeah, well, that's because they burned it.
They burned it down. Well, we don't want to, but yeah, they burned it down. But it looks great now. Unfortunately, my fire department, I did one of my first comedy shows there, North Massapequa Fire Department, right down the road from where I live. Terrible.
Yeah, absolutely.
They had a fire there at the firehouse, and it sounds, but it's a serious thing. And that I saw the fire in Roosevelt in 94, 95-ish. When I was still in Montauk at the time, and they had a fire. They had like a old antique wooden firehouse attached to like a cinder block bay.
Right.
And it was a beautiful combination of, they have to keep the modern there, but they preserve the past.
Right.
And it just, I guess they had a fire in the old, the wooden part, and they had to pull the rig out, and they had their racks on wheels, which actually I think, because we had both.
We had both bolted to the wall, and then racks in the back. Yeah.
Now I'm thinking the racks is the better way to go in case you've got to fight your own firehouse.
Yeah.
You just pull all the equipment out, pull the racks out, and then you got to go to work. Yeah. But I guess for space reasons, maybe that's an unlikely scenario with this. But in that case, it worked for them. They were able to pull both racks out, and their guys got their gear on. But yeah, terrible.
North Massapequa was a shame.
That is a real shame.
Luckily, thankfully nobody got hurt. I mean, it's sad to lose your apparatus, but
they lost the apparatus. That was the really bad, because the people don't realize the building is one thing. The apparatus, I think each engine is $500,000.
Yeah,
and a lot of trucks are over $1 million now.
Yeah,
right?
like $1.2 million.
$1.2 million now for a lot of truck. So you don't want to lose. The building is one thing, but you don't lose both if you can avoid it.
Yeah.
And I remember because and when our dispatcher used to be in the firehouse, the whole thing was if there was ever a fire, the dispatcher would probably tone it out and then start pulling rigs out.
Yeah.
Just to save the rigs.
Yeah.
Because you got to, the rigs are important. But I couldn't believe how quickly everybody came together to give them new apparatus, loaner
Yeah, that
engines.
was a beautiful thing.
Beautiful thing. Like a couple of days later.
Yeah.
People immediately had this stuff available.
Yeah. In the fire service, especially, nowadays, some of the departments that are more well off than others, they reach out and take care of each other, and it's a brotherhood, and it's nice to see them, helping each other out when they're having a tough time.
Definitely.
In Syosset, I work with two guys that are members of North Massapequa.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so you probably heard everything.
Yeah.
So there's actually Chuck Brady, who's listening.
Chuck Brady
just posted the phone number for the ticket info.
Oh, there you go. Because Chuck Brady is a very good friend of mine. He's also the first assistant chief in the Manor Fire Department.
I look forward to meeting him on the 8th.
Yeah, absolutely.
The show is the 8th, right?
Yes.
I'm just thinking.
Wait a second. Let me think. Yeah.
I only have a couple of shows.
Wouldn't that be terrible if we're telling me, come
oh
to
my
the
God,
8th, and it's on the 7th, or the 6th or the 9th or whatever. Yeah, no. It's the 8th.
I have a gig on the 1st on the North Fork, and then I have your show, and then I'm off to Florida.
Oh, awesome.
I've got 3 shows in Florida with Laughter Saves Lives. We're doing benefits
Whereabouts?
all over Florida. So we're staying in Port St. Lucie because we tie in
Get out
the
of
Mets
here.
spring training, and then we go to the Mets, and then I did this in 2015.
So February 8th is my sister's birthday.
Okay.
I don't know how old she's going to be. I think she's going to be like 25. And she's in Port St. Lucie.
She's in Port St. Lucie.
And so is my mom.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, they
Yeah.
should come to the shows then. We
I'll
got
tell
3
them to
shows
go.
going on. Yeah. We have, one is in the Hilton where we're staying in Port St. Lucie.
Okay.
I forget
Oh,
what
and that's right by tradition. That's just a hop skip from tradition.
right by the field. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was like 10 minutes we were there. I'm thinking back 5 years ago when I went there. We have one in Jensen Beach, one in
Okay.
Melbourne, and one in Port St. Lucie. So the Melbourne show is on a Saturday. So I'm going to either do one or two things. I think the first Met spring training game is that day. So I'm either going to go to that game at 1 and then drive up to the show in Melbourne, or I might drive up to Cape Canaveral and then come back into
Okay.
Melbourne. It's only a half hour past Melbourne
Yeah.
to go to the Cape.
Yeah.
But I was just at the Cape last Easter. I was on a cruise and we stopped at Cape Canaveral.
So when I lived down there, I lived literally in the neighborhood that's behind the field, and it was like a 3-minute drive from my
Right to the
house,
field
Right
there,
to
yeah.
the field. Yeah. Actually, I had a buddy come up and stay with me for a week, and every day he took my bicycle and rode to the field and watched them practice.
Nice.
Yeah, it was cool.
Now, I remember they practiced because my friend John Butero, who's producing the show for you on
Right.
he's going to be down there too.
Oh,
And
awesome.
we're trying to figure out the times. I remember it was like 9 to 12 they would practice. Not like a game, but they'd be on all those fields in the complex. And then if they had a game, it would be like a 1 o'clock game or whatever they'd be at.
Yeah.
Then you just go to the game.
Yeah.
But there's not really a good website that I could find current info on when the practices are. There used to be a guy who used to publish all the tips.
Yeah.
Fly in West Palm Beach, drive, stay here, go there, be at the field at this time. I don't see that anymore.
No, I'm not. I'm not sure either. Because
Yeah.
I know some of their practice games they bounce around, but you
Yeah,
know.
then there's split squads, and then the
Yeah.
minor leaguers sometimes. But I don't care. I just go there. I walk around. I see whoever I could see.
I mean, it's beautiful, and if you catch a spring training game, it's fantastic. I mean, they have the $5 you go sit in the field in the back,
And the thing, and you get the ball. And
yeah. And anyway you sit there, I mean, it's not a tremendous stadium. You know, it's a nice sized stadium, but
Yep.
it's
Probably
probably close
7,800,
to,
I think. Like a
Yeah.
little bit bigger than the Ducks.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Yeah, so you're not paying the big, because you could sit behind home plate for like $40, I think.
Yeah, yep.
That at City Field, that's like a $600, $700, $800, who the hell knows ticket.
It's a ticket I can't afford.
It's
that's
a
for
lot of
sure.
money.
Yeah.
For those tickets, so that's pretty cool. So the whole thing with the, did you hear the story about the? So I put something together. There were two kind of ridiculous stories that were floating around, literally floating around. One is that all these penis fish are washing up in California. I had no idea what a penis fish was, but when you look at the fish,
Yes, I've seen it. It looks
saw the
like
picture.
yeah, it looks like a I don't even know if I could say it on the air.
it looks like a penis.
It looks like a dildo factory exploded.
There's penile. I don't even know the proper term. Penile fish all over the beach.
Yeah.
Right. So that was ridiculous story number one. And then a couple of weeks later, Gwyneth Paltrow announces she's coming out with a vagina-scented candle.
Yes.
So I can't help but wonder, are the penis fish washing up because they smell the vagina candles?
But you got to wonder what the penis fish smell like.
Or are they looking for blowfish? The penis fish. I don't know.
Yeah.
Blowfish. This is such a... I thought I was dreaming. Every time I read this story about the penis fish and the vagina candle, I really thought I was dreaming. I went for a sleep study. So I have no idea if I'm suffering from the ill effects of sleep apnea or if these are really ridiculous stories.
Well, I mean, I saw the photo of the penis fish story, and you know, it's funny. It would be great to have had like a camera on the beach and watch people's reaction and walk up and see what people do with it. You know, like
Right.
you see somebody walk up and they're disgusted. You see somebody walk up and pick it and like stuff it in their pocket like they're going to take it home. You know,
But I had no idea that these fish existed. Like,
Neither
what the
did
hell's
I.
a penis fish?
you know, I mean, look what's happening in the world. Like, you know, who knows? Maybe they came out of the bottom of the ocean because you know, they're getting poisoned with nuclear waste from
Fukushima.
which
That's
they say
right.
is not an issue, but
Yeah, that's what they say.
you know,
They also said Agent Orange was safe.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
all this other shit.
everything's
But
good.
they're telling people now because the people are touching the penis fish, and they're saying don't touch them because they could get bigger and turn into a sperm whale. So don't touch the penis fish, folks. What a ridiculous world we live in.
Yeah.
20 years ago, it was ridiculous, but not anywhere near this level.
No, it's crazy now.
Now, if let's go back in time 20 years ago
Okay.
to 2000, when we were in the fire department, from 1990 to 2000, roughly.
Okay.
If I told you then, right, about the penis fish, all this other stuff, if I told you Donald Trump was going to be president, you probably wouldn't have believed me.
Nah, I wouldn't
Right?
have thought. No.
If I told you that the O.J. Simpson thing was going to happen and the whole thing with Bruce Jenner, there's a picture of Howard Cosell with Bruce Jenner and O.J. Simpson, and he goes, "Ladies and gentlemen, I've been to the future. You're not going to believe what I'm about to tell you." Just like I can hear Cosell saying that. But
and then if you think if he could have lived long enough to see what happened, he would have died.
he would,
That would have been the end of Howard Cosell. Would have been, you know, I can't even do Howard Cosell, but you know, if you're like signing off and you know, like
yep, signing Howard Cosell. So on that line, I'm actually getting ready to film I was a big fan of the Terminator movies.
Okay.
As a Schwarzenegger.
Yes, I remember, yeah.
Impressions. This is going to be a fantastic movie. So there's a scene in Terminator 2 where he's in the car with Sarah Connor, and she asks how Skynet gets built, and he explains the future to her. I'm going to do the same thing, but like with the advent of all the shit that's gone on since that movie was made.
oh my god,
Like,
that'd be hysterical.
Facebook, all this stuff. And I have it written down. I have an actress in mind for the role of Sarah Connor, and she's out in Hollywood, California. And she's actually from Long Island. If I can get her to, when she's in town, and I can coordinate the filming, because she's perfect for the part. And I really I'm going to wait to film it until I can get her in the part. It's only going to be like a 2-minute, like vignette type thing.
Yeah.
Like a parody.
Okay.
But it's like such a amazing premise.
Who's the girl you have in mind?
I can't say because we're still in contract negotiations.
All right. All right.
No, I'm kidding. I'm not contracting her. But she's a great. I don't want to say because I want to see if we can get her first.
Right.
And then once we get her, then we'll go from there.
All right.
Because this way, if she turns it down, I could say to the person I get to replace her, she was my first pick. Right? Actors are very finicky. You want them to make. No, I'm kidding. There was a guy who made.
Well, now with Harvey out of the picture, you got to come up with a whole new way to get that all working nowadays.
Well, we're legitimate.
Yes,
right?
I know. Well, that's what I mean. We
Did you see Curb Your Enthusiasm last night?
listen. We have to look at it like fat older guys that don't have a lot of money.
Right.
So we got to figure out.
Right,
Some
I'm
kind
totally
of way to do it,
hiring
'cause
on
it's definitely
talent.
not going to. Yeah, exactly.
Did you see? Did you see Curb Your Enthusiasm last night?
No.
So you know Jeff, right? His manager.
Yeah.
The woman comes up to him and she goes,
he passed away, right?
"No, he's
comedian?
still alive."
Is
No, did he? I hope no. The guy who plays his manager, Larry David's manager.
Yeah, what's that guy's name?
Funkhauser passed away.
Oh yeah.
No.
Okay.
And this woman comes up to him, she goes, "You pig! Who invited you? What are you doing here?" They thought he was Harvey Weinstein.
Oh.
He's like,
That's
"No,
great.
it's my house. It's my."
Oh,
This
my
season's
God.
gonna be fantastic.
That's
Oh, we got to
funny.
do I got to do the weather. I'm gonna let you pick the celebrity who's gonna do the weather
Oh my
from
God.
this list.
Oh yeah. You give me a list. Okay.
I got a list there. Yeah.
Oh, look at that. Look who we got here.
Yeah, we're very well organized here.
So, do you want to hear a funny Schwarzenegger story with you and your brilliance there?
Sure.
So,
Oh, he said I was brilliant.
Absolutely.
Say that one more time so the folks at home. No, I'm kidding.
John Santo's brilliance.
Oh, I love to hear that.
Comedic brilliance.
I hear it so unoften. I don't even know what the right word is. Infrequently.
Infrequently.
I'll tell you a funny story about it. Actually happened at Firehouse after that show.
Okay.
It was one of the rare times this woman asked me for an autograph after the show. She goes, "Mr. Santa, could you sign it?" I said, "Sure, I'm happy to sign it." She goes, "Thank you so much for taking the time. I noticed you're taking your time to sign it, so it's not just scribbled. And I said, "Ma'am, I get asked for my autograph so infrequently. I'm just trying to kind of make it last." I always worry it's my wife serving me with divorce papers, and it's a trick.
Yeah.
It's like, "Oh, can I have
You're
your
like a
autograph?"
server in
Yeah,
itself.
you've been served.
You get home and the locks changed. What happened? You signed the paperwork.
You signed the papers.
Yeah, I signed the autograph. Yeah, your autograph is on the paperwork. That would be my luck.
That
would be
You've
my
been
luck.
served.
So going back a ways, I had the privilege of owning an H1 Hummer, a '99.
And he's into the Hummers, Schwarzenegger.
He was. So you calling me like you have over the past few years for my birthday,
Yeah.
and you wish me a birthday as Schwarzenegger. So my stepson walks in the room. This is like 4 or 5 years ago. He's like 16 at the time, and he hears the recording, and he's like, "How do you know Arnold Schwarzenegger?" So off the cuff, I turn around, I go, "Oh," I go, "Well, I used to own the H1." He's like, "Yeah." I go, "Well, he's the leader of the H1, the domestic H1 club, and we had a rally in New York, and I got to meet him, and we hit it off, because of the other celebrities that I've known in the
Right.
past, and he's believed it until probably he's listening to me on the radio now.
Now
to
it's-
find out
now
that
it comes crashing
it's
down.
Not real.
I did a thing where my friend's sister, a woman I used to work with, her sister was, she loved Barack Obama.
Okay.
Right? So
God help her.
I called her up as Obama. And another guy was in the office who has a BlackBerry with a 202 area code. Oh, okay. So this is perfect. That's the DC area code if
Yeah,
anybody
yeah.
has another area code. So she goes, "Call her." Now, she had written Obama a letter. So this is perfect. He's responding to the letter. This is, by God, this is the perfect setup, right? So I call her up and I'm like, "Hello, this is Barack Obama." And first I call up, we had somebody else introduce the call, a staffer. "Mr. President received your letter." He randomly calls a few Americans, if he likes your letter, he calls. I'm like, "Oh, I'm responding to your letter, and I really appreciate you sending this and bringing this to my attention." All of a sudden I hear a pause, and she goes, "I'm on the phone with Barack Obama." She just flips out. She's like on the phone. So years later, I ask him, I'm like, I go, "What does she think of that gag? I never asked you what happened." He's like, "I never told her."
Oh, so it's the same
thing.
Same. That's great.
That's what made me
great.
think of that story. But it was like we had the whole thing set up. Like we had somebody introduce, and I'm like, "This is the president, and thank you for writing the letter." And she was like the pause.
Isn't it amazing how some people are so starstruck they just can't control themselves?
They can't control themselves.
So I have. A good
So I want to do
friend-
more of those. I want to do more of those gags, like where I can.
You
people
should.
think
That's
it's
the best
real-
prank calls. That'd be the best. And
the
I'm sitting here
best.
thinking like all these people, all these things you could come up with to do with that. You know.
Well, I have a whole list there.
All
Oh,
right,
we got to
yes,
do the
you-
weather
you
real
did.
quick.
You got
We
to do
have
the weather.
wrap
We got to
up.
pick a guy.
Yeah, we got to do the
Let's,
weather, the Massapequa weather. Who? Cold. The weather's cold.
Oh. We'll do this for Captain Clunan, Darth Vader,
Oh, Darth Vader.
as a Star Wars fan.
All right. I'm a big Star Wars fan.
Oh, colossal.
The weather is clear with a low around 17. Wind chills between 10 and 15. The force is strong with the wind, but then it gives way to sun. A big sun. Sunny with a high near 37 on Wednesday. Wind chill between 15 and 25. It'll feel like Hoth. Darth Vader weather. We've never done that before.
Perfect. That's perfect.
Did you see the new Star Wars, the episode 9?
Oh, absolutely.
Everybody, we're not gonna say any spoilers.
No.
But everybody I heard negative feedback, right? I go to see it. I thought it was the best one. I was blown away.
I honestly think, and I know exactly what you're talking about. I think it's the era. I remember right down the road, right here in Massapequa. I was in Massapequa movie theater. It's the Lexus dealer now.
The Pequa.
That's where I saw it.
Yep.
The first one. You know,
I
It's
saw the
funny- it's
first one at
funny thing.
Lowe's.
My daughter is 6, so she's seen every Star Wars. She's a huge Star Wars fan for her age, and I think to myself, I was 6, but I think I was like, no disrespect to my little girl, but like
Mm-hmm.
I think it was so much more advanced at that time with my thought process on it. You know, I remember a year later seeing it in my aunt and uncle's house on Laserdisc. Like, oh my god, I get to see it
The
again. It's the greatest thing. It's the
Laserdisc.
big one.
Yes.
Looked like a record.
I remember
What is
seeing
that
one of
thing?
those. Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy.
So I do want to just, Bob, how much time do we have? Like 2 minutes left?
Yeah, you really just whatever. Finish.
All right, I'll finish up with it. We have to finish up with Mike Francesa.
Oh, okay.
Because Mike has an opinion on how the Star Wars are to be seen, right? So we'll take a quick call. Hey, Mike, how do I watch a Star Wars? Do I watch episodes 1 through 9 or do I do 4, 5, 6? How do I do it? If I've never seen Star Wars, first of all, this isn't even up for discussion. There's only one way to watch the Star Wars movies. In the order of release 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9. Not a discussion. Not up for debate. How could you watch it in an order that's unnatural? It's an unnatural order. It was released that way for a reason. That's the order you should watch it.
Absolutely.
Unequivocally. And we have to sign off with that. Carl, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you so
I'm
much
going to
for
see you
having
again
me.
in 2 weeks. Whatever. On the 8th. February.
The 8th,
Is it 2
February
weeks, 3 weeks?
8th.
I can't wait to go to the show.
February 8th, Huntington Manor
Gonna be an-
Fire Department headquarters.
Unbelievable show. You can get tickets. Look on the comments. I can't read. I don't have my glasses. Captain Scott Clunan. Get tickets 631-427-1629. 631-427-1629 for ticket info. February 8th. Headline is Paul Bond. I'm on the show. A lot of other great comedians. And
Absolutely.
Carl, thanks again for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
And that wraps up this week's episode of The Radio.